Hello, this is Winston Cunningham. It is April 27th, 2026. And today I'm going to talk about separation, the big lie. Not lying, it's not a lie in intent, but it's a lie by misrepresentation, misunderstanding, all of those things. In the beginning, God said, "Let there be light." That's the story. And light represents awareness. And light also represents who you are. You are God expressing in a particular way. We are all expressions of the one that created us. Each person has its own perspective. For the most part, this perspective includes misrepresentation of the facts. I've run across a lot of videos that I like that are explaining how Jesus' life, for instance, was what happened to him between the age of 12 and 30 is conveniently missing from the Bible. Unless you go way back before the Constantinople time. Constantinople, the meeting of all of the spiritual leaders or church leaders at that time decided that if they were going to keep control of all of us, then they needed to hide some truth. And so the big lies became, Jesus did not start Christianity. Jesus did not start a religion. He was here to elevate himself and to show us that this is available to us as well. This is the whole 9 yards. Everything that has been built upon this misrepresentation has become the big lie. The big lie. And if you go to my YouTube channel, The Next Step, Winston Cunningham, you'll see that the videos that I liked, you'll see a number of those videos that deal with this period of time of Jesus' life that was missing. And it's not just one person. There's several people who most of you have respect for already. You just haven't heard them say this. But they have come to some similar conclusions that I have, but from different perspectives. And everybody has a different perspective. And I love hearing different perspectives. But one cannot argue about what the truth is, because the truth comes to you through your own experience. Through your own experience. And yes, you can listen to the way other people describe their experiences. That's what I'm doing here now, describing my experience. And my experience is based on my need to know the truth. And that started pretty young, like about age 11, when I realized I was sitting through witnessing. I didn't know what to call it then, but I was witnessing the big lie. I was sitting in church and they built Jesus, God, whoever, up to be on the pedestal, and all of us peons down here are nothing. And at age 82, at the present time, I understand that God is the I am. The only living God is the I am in each one of us, the light that is us. And the light represents awareness. So we started with pure awareness, and as we disintegrated, or as we expressed outward through the seventh level of mind, the conscious level only, that's kind of a juxtaposition, because most people in the conscious level are unconscious. So that's the juxtaposition of the way the title, the way the way mind. And let me suggest here that I may be rambling a little bit, but if you'll go to the bottom of my YouTube channel, you can connect with a talk that Daniel Condren did on oneness. And he explained this a little bit more methodically than I can, or than I know how to. So we started as one. And we will become one again. Now, if you look at this oneness from an individual perspective, I started out with the wholeness. And as I worked outward into finally the physical expression. Now, we needed the physical expression. We needed this physical so we could learn through experiences, because we had been learning through observation. We could check in and out when we needed to. But we got fascinated with when we created these physical bodies. We got fascinated with what we created, so we kind of got stuck here. And so it is the inbred need for each person to reach that oneness, that wholeness again. And you remember, I am is the Alpha and Omega, the beginning and the end. It's a continuous circle. And so I am never goes away. I am is who I am, and my experiences are about filling in the pieces. As I was explaining, I'm just at Cracker Barrel eating the meal, and the lady next, she was having trouble with the shoulders. So I asked her about it. And I just gave her some information. What she does with it, I don't know. But when a person is confused between responsibility and burden, they thinking they're the same thing. That's what causes, that's the lie that causes the shoulder problems. And the only way that you can get past that is to see the truth. Jesus said the truth will set you free. And if you look in the book Permanent Healing, it'll tell you what the attitude is behind each ailment. And a complete healing will not and cannot occur until you change the attitude that caused the problem. So we're all in a growing process. And it's okay if you are where you are. It's okay for me to be where I am. One cannot compare two different people, because everybody started off with the same thing. We took different routes to begin to understand what it is we have. And all our experiences are for the single purpose of me understanding who I am. And all of the different pieces, I'm told there's 144,000. I haven't tried to count the ones I'm familiar with, but I just know I got a ways to go before I understand the whole thing. It seems that when I come to some truth, instead of that being it opens up more questions. So I did it. One of my talks on this page is the question. As long as you got a question you're reaching for and insisting on finding an answer, you're not going anywhere. You still got business here. And you will have as long as you're working at understanding more of yourself. Now, when you get to the point where you understand it all, then it'll be time to go. But I'm nowhere near that. So for this lifetime, for instance, I'm 82 at the present time, and I've got my life planned through 140. And that'll be 5 major life cycles. I'm working on leading up to and beginning my 4th major life cycle. And this time I'm approaching it with more awareness because I'm taking time to download what I need to approach that. And I'm gaining, on a pretty regular basis, I'm gaining ground. I'm gaining. So I'm not going anywhere. I got too much to do. And you don't start getting old until you run out of something to do. Hello? As long as you have a purpose for being here, you will be here. That's the whole 9 yards. As we started out with the wholeness, and I have to keep coming back to that because when God gave us everything He had, that's embedded, we inherited that. So our job is to find out what we have and to see how to use it. And of course, me growing up in church, and they boo-hooed that whole idea about you being worth anything. God is everything, you're nothing. Jesus is everything, you're nothing. And they preached that Jesus was the only Son of God. I now know, not believe, I now know that the only begotten Son of God is light. And that is the I am in each one of us. And if you go back and read all of what Jesus said, and if you can entertain the idea that He was not talking about Himself, then you will begin to understand what I'm talking about. So instead of hearing, well, Jesus can do these things, I can't do anything, that's not true. And once you see what is not true, you can begin to say, well, what is true? And when you ask that question, your own soul will guide you to the answers. I've had 40 years experience of dealing with this, and that's the way it works. It don't come from somebody. It might come through somebody. It might, in fact, my soul may guide me to a book. If I'm in a bookstore, it'll seem like a book almost falls off the shelf into my hands. It'll be the one that my soul wants me to, that's directing me to. It's the answers or part of the answers in that book. So it's and I depend. I've learned to depend on my own soul because it is my partner. My partner. My soul is my mate. Soul mate. You hear the term soulmate as it being another person, and let me give you something to consider. The only reason another human being feels like their presence to you is magical, it's just that it's not that at all. It's just that you were familiar with this person from a previous lifetime. And that is stored in your memory, not your conscious memory yet. You can become conscious of it, but that takes a lot of work. And work is the one thing I didn't hear in religion. Said don't depend on your own works. well, all this is crazy. And it was built, there's lies built upon lies built upon lies, and it's continuing today. So if you want the truth, you have to go back to, if you're depending on the Bible, for instance, you go back to what it said in a long time ago, when it was first written. What was the meaning of it when it was first written? Not what it means now, but what it meant then. You can look up root words, you can look up old time texts and so forth, and you can find out for yourself. I can't prove anything to you. That's not my job. My job is to make you say, huh? And if you can walk away from me with a question, then I'm done my job. That's the way I see it. I can't prove anything to you. Nobody could prove anything to me. But when I attended the School of Metaphysics, they showed me how to prove anything to myself. So it showed me how to find the truth and how to use the truth to create some freedom. And I'm working with that. I had to have it. So look within yourself and see what you got to have. Listen to my talk on listening within. And of course, this talk will be number 104. When I first started this, I didn't know how many talks I would do, and I still don't. But today I wanted to talk about this separation, which is the big lie. The truth is we are not, never have been, and never will be separate from the one that created us. We're all different expressions of that same energy. Expressions of the same energy. And once you rise above the physical, and I've got to talk on that, what it feels like to rise above the physical. Once you begin to rise above the physical, and you see from a subconscious soul perspective, then is when you start to realize some truth. When you can see it through your experience that was set up by your soul, because stimulated by your questions. See, the question is everything, and finding an answer to that question is the next thing, and then what comes after that is the next question. You have to begin, or you don't have to, but it works better if you begin to trust your own impressions, but don't just stop at thinking about it. Ask your own soul, and your own soul will guide you to where you can see it through your experience. And it's seeing it through your experience is the only way you'll see the truth. You can't know the truth by hearing somebody say it, or a group of people saying this is true, that's true. You got to prove it yourself. The people that are attached to religion are not interested in proving anything, because they say that's already been done. So they're just closed-minded. They're closed off to what would lead them to the truth. And Jesus said it very clearly, the truth will set you free. Well, what does he mean by that? Well, start working with your soul and find out. Go back and see if you, everything that Jesus said, ask your soul, how can I prove that? Ask your soul, your own mate, the other part of you. And it's the other part of me. We all come from the same boat, and we're all in the same boat. It may not seem like it, but we're all working through different parts of learning to understand ourselves, and learning to trust ourselves. So focus on the question. And I'm telling you, there's no such thing as separation. The separation only happens in the conscious mind, related to the conscious ego. Conscious ego is the one that lies to you. So prove this to yourself. You're the only one that can. There is no separation except in our own misuse of the imagination. All I wanted to do today was to give you a question. If what he's saying is true, how can I prove it? When you ask the question, your own soul will begin to feed you answers. If you're serious. If you're playing, the soul don't play. It gives you what you ask for. If you want to keep bullshitting yourself, your soul said you want it, you got it. So it all comes back to your choice. What do you want to be free? What do you want? You want to be dependent on something or someone else? Religion got you hooked up. If that's what satisfies you, then go your way, as Jesus said. Of course, he said, go your way and sin no more. Now, a sin is a mistake where no learning has occurred, that you're going to repeat it over and over. That's the sin. I'm Winston Cunningham. Thank you for being here. Have a good day.